Trump and Rogan. Charles, did you watch it or no?
No, I saw clips. And JD Vance and Joe Rogan had a podcast too, apparently.
They did.
Apparently it wasn't as newsworthy. I saw clips of Joe Rogan and the president. I don't know. I heard it was good.
Brad?
Commentary. No, I thought I was entertained by. I was impressed by the. It's Donald Trump. He is a politician, and is he right about everything? Certainly not. But the wide array of topics that they discussed was pretty impressive, and Trump had something to say on all of them. When they got into talking about UFC, I was kind of like, just shut the fuck up. Like, who gives a fuck about this? That's boring. I don't know why anybody cares about that. But fine, it's not my cup of tea. Perhaps it's yours, and that's okay. But he had some funny moments, being a whale psychologist, one of them.
Yeah.
But it seems like he has is he a mile wide and an inch deep on a lot of topics?
Yep.
Maybe.
We're going to get to that.
That's my take.
What
or
do you guys
as
think?
Charles says, it was all right.
I mean, well, exactly. A mile wide, inch deep. That's why I didn't watch it. I didn't expect it to be much more than that.
I mean, I think that, that's why you didn't. So you didn't even bother confirming. I think at some of the topics, it's a little bit more than an inch, but the fact that there's a lot that he can talk about and he can have a good conversation with. And it seems like he understands. I mean, an inch for Charles is going to be a lot less than an inch for Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump probably knows a little bit more on all these issues than Charles does. Oh. He has access to a lot more information.
Okay.
And same with me. I mean, maybe in one particular area, but it's not my job, right? Like the job of the president supposedly would be to have, more in-depth knowledge about a lot of different things. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I actually thought there were a couple moments, specifically on flying. Looks good. Specifically on flying into, I think it was Iraq, and the second one on his decision to go after ISIS, where he gave, I thought, an incredible amount of detail about how decisions were being made that you've never heard from a president ever, especially in that forum where he's just like talking about how they made decisions. And I thought that was pretty historical, because when has a president ever sat down and been like, these were the conversations we were having in the Situation Room, and like, here's what I took into account. And this is he does prattle on too much, kind of like Uncle Steve. Yeah, that's for sure. Here are the conversations I had. Here are the people that gave me good advice. Here are the people that gave me bad advice. And here's why. I just thought there was a level of detail and insight into the presidency and how they make decisions that we've never got ever in the history of the country that I found interesting.
See, that is interesting. Maybe now I'll go watch it based on that recommendation.
Yeah. And then second, he's funny. He can sit there for 3 hours with Joe Rogan and they jam about things from whale psychology and how windmills are impacting the whale population, to UFC, to how they took down ISIS. I thought they had quite a bit of range, but this will be a good transition to my next topic. There were a few things, in particular, two things that I'm most interested in. That it seemed to me he had less knowledge than Brad Swail and Charles Blain and Michael Searle, where he should probably have more. So the first clip I'm going to play, Joe Rogan asks him about, the UFO situation. And we know from his past comments that it's not really his thing, I think he said. But here's what he responds to Joe Rogan on UFOs.
There's a lot of interest.
Full screen.
There's a lot of interest in the people coming from space,
Yes.
And I know you're interested in that
very
too.
interested in that. How much did they tell you about that?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah.
What did they tell you?
Full screen.
How much can you tell?
So
how's that work? Is it like super
I think
top
I
secret?
Can tell,
Tell me.
Well, based on Hunter Biden, I can say whatever the hell I want, right? But no. But I interviewed a few people. It's never been my thing, I have to be honest. I have never been a believer. I have people that Area 51 or whatever it is. I think it's the number one tourist attraction in the whole country or something. Area 51 in Las Vegas. Do you know that, right?
Sure. I know what it is.
So, but it's a big tourist thing. So I interviewed jet pilots that say they saw something. If you saw them, you'd love to have them as
I've had a couple in here. Commander David Fravor,
Yeah.
I had him in, who had that sighting in 2004. Very compelling with video evidence, radar evidence. Ryan Graves.
I don't believe his name, but I interviewed jet pilots that were solid people. Perfect. I mean, great pilots, great everything. And they said, we saw things, sir, that were very strange. Like a round ball, but it wasn't a comet or a meteor. It was something. And it was going 4 times faster than an F-22, which is a very fast plane, you know. And it was round, which is in theory a great shape.
He said in theory it's in great shape.
So he kind of goes on about, I mean, that's pretty much all he had to say about it. And my takeaway was like, he didn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Like, he's the president of the United States. He says they told him a lot, but he doesn't really know much about it. So what did they actually tell him? I'm thinking not very much. Brad, did you get to that point in the podcast?
Not at the end. I don't think I got to that point. I didn't think that he would be divulging any sort of secrets like that. I mean, you know, it's always a fucking letdown when somebody that's supposed to know about aliens starts talking about it. I can't tell you about it. I can't tell you. Well, fucking, why are you talking? We've heard that before. All of them, including Tucker Carlson.
Oh, wait, didn't what's her name say we were supposed to be finding something out in like now? Megan
Kelly?
Yeah.
No, that's on Epstein. I'm going to get to the UFO stuff after this segment. I'm going to get to the UFO stuff after we talk about what Charlie Kirk said and what's coming down the pipe. So maybe more to learn there. Maybe Trump will learn something, or maybe he'll demand a real briefing and get some real information, because based on what I heard, my 11-year-old knows more about UFOs than Donald Trump, was what I took away from it.
There's not going to be more information. It's never going to happen until they just fire up the hologram machine and make it true.
Such a cynic.
I think. Look, I believe. All right, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe. I just don't think. I'm tired of this bullshit where they go on. I'm going to tell you about aliens, but actually, I'm not. Whoopsies.
You guys just got to be patient. We have the president of the United States.
I've been patient my entire life.
We have the president of the United States on the largest podcast in the history of human history, or history of human history, in the history of media or podcasting, talking about UFOs and being, it's a non-issue. No, it's not a non-issue. This is a single issue voter here.
I'm sorry.
UFOs.
You cannot believe that there were civilizations that came before us and think that they didn't have podcasts.
True. But for our civilization, we had the former president of the United States on the largest podcast in the world, talking about being told about round balls moving 4 times the speed of a F-22. That is significantly different than where we were 10 years ago. And we're making progress, and you guys just got to be patient on the UFO thing. You got to deal with me talking about it every time I host, and we're going to get there, but we're not there yet.
Wait, Brian, when you say it's a non-issue, do you not believe they exist, or do you think it's just not, we don't even need to worry about it because we're never going to find out?
Or do you think those round balls that are moving fast are something else? You know what I mean?
And I just think that, Trump probably doesn't know either. They probably keep that stuff away. Didn't you guys tell me when I said he needed to release all the stuff about, I think it was JFK, you were like, they probably don't tell presidents that stuff either. They keep it. But I don't know what non-issue means.
Yeah, Brian is for those that are listening after the fact, Brian's in the comments just saying the same thing. Oh, not helping. What do you mean by non-issue?
Is it not important, or they don't exist?
Right. That's what I'm trying to understand.
I think he means it's not important.
That's probably
you guys told me that.
He probably says that because you think it's important, and he knows you very well.
I do.
You guys, where are they from? What are they? I don't know. That's what we're trying to find out. Rich.
I mean, what are your intentions with my daughter? You know what I mean? Come on.
But my point is,
they're here to create. They're here to enhance the human race, to help us evolve, to make sure we don't kill ourselves. They're going to splice our DNA again.
Yeah.
That's right. You heard me. We'll find out, but the government knows literally nothing except that they exist.
I disagree with that.
Sounds like that wouldn't be possible. You just know that they exist. You don't know anything else. You would at least know where they are.
How would they know that? Maybe they just saw.
How would you know that they exist without knowing where they are?
Because you saw them once.
Oh my god! So where did you see them?
In the sky.
Oh, good one, you fucking idiot.
It definitely exists. Charles, you're going to say something, but I was holding this for the next segment, but we may not get to the next segment. So, Charles, did you have a comment you wanted to make?
About what?
I don't know. You tried to jump in there on Brad a couple times at the beginning, saying he doesn't really know stuff we had said about the JFK.
Oh, yeah. You guys said to me that the reason he wouldn't release stuff about JFK was because maybe they don't tell him. Maybe they don't tell him anything about this either, and he doesn't want to look dumb, so he's pretending he knows.
Yeah. No, I don't think he knows anything about this. But so in the next 2 months, the UFO community, we'll call them, is making a full court press. I think their goal is they think if Trump wins, they can force disclosure. So there's another House committee hearing led by Representative Nancy Mace that's going to be in November. And she's going to call in the government agencies to talk about what they know. They're going to say they don't know anything. And then there are 3 or 4, maybe 5 documentaries that are all being released from now until the end of the year. The first one was just released. It's called Beyond UFOs and the Unknown. It's a mini series on MGM Plus. The question that they're trying to answer is, what are they? The documentary features Jacques Vallée, Gary Nolan, Leslie Kean, Christopher Mellon. For those of you not in the UFO world, those are like pretty credible people on UFO Twitter, and
it's on MGM Plus. You said
correct.
So nobody's going to watch it.
Okay. Correct. And then there's a second one. I don't know what's coming out on it. It's also called the Beyond UFOs in the New Reality. This one is asking, what does their existence mean for humanity? This is also a series. Then Investigation Alien, a 6-part series on Netflix, is coming out. It's co-produced by George Knapp, who is the guy that Charles is laughing at me. He's the guy that broke the Bob Lazar story in the 1990s. That comes out on November 8th. You got to watch that one. And then finally, The Program, which is going to be a documentary released by James Fox, chronicling all the legislative efforts to get to the bottom of this, is coming out. I don't know that they've announced a release date, but all of this is happening now and after the election and in the lead up to this committee hearing. So they're making another push to get it. And then I think they're going to try to get Trump to reveal some things. To Brian's point, yeah, I don't know that the government knows. I think it might be in skunk works. Like it might be in private corporations. Like all this technology and what they do know is probably not in the government. It's probably in private hands, because those records would not be subject to public information requests. So they moved it out of the government. I think that's totally possible. But that's what's going on with UFOs. You guys going to watch all of those?
No.
I just was wondering why the hell you know the entire UFO community's PR strategy for the next 6 months.
It's I just piece things together. It's obvious what they're doing, right? Why release all of these around the election, all in sequence, and have it and in the lead up to a committee hearing? It's pretty straightforward.
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying. I just thought it was very funny.
If you want people to watch it, why is it on MGM Plus? It's not going to happen.
Well, there's one on Netflix. One's going to be a documentary just released. They're shopping venues. The Investigation Alien by George Knapp is being released in 124 languages. Like it's going to it's going to be on Netflix. It's going to get 100 million people are going to watch
Netflix, 100, no, but Netflix is different than MGM Plus, and that's fine.
The only documentary we need on aliens is that one that took place in that Spanish-speaking country. Was it Panama?
Brazil.
Okay,
Virginia. The guy that made Virginia, the documentary, is James Fox. He's the guy releasing the program.
Charles is a Virginia.
I don't think that was the name of it.
Well, that's the town.
Okay, then that was the one. Yeah.
Alien towns.
That's the only one that I think is worth watching and necessary. Anyway, I think it's really interesting that they're doing all this. More power to the UFO community. Nancy Mace was the first woman graduate of the Citadel. Great for them. I think that this is an important issue. Maybe we'll learn more. We probably won't, but it's worth a try.
She's fired up.
Who's fired up?
Nancy Mace.
I just Google skunk.
God, I hope she's fired up. Oof, Nancy Mace.
Gunkworks is Lockheed Martin.
I know that now.
Okay. Anything else on UFOs? Brian says black budget projects are also not included. Private sector knows nothing unless you mean private sector as Halliburton, Boeing. Yeah, that's what I mean. All right. So another thing I'm going to play another clip from the Trump podcast, unless you guys want to go to Charlie Kirk, but I think we've beaten the alien horse to death. So I'm going to go to JFK because obviously Joe Rogan's very interested in the JFK assassination. And where the frick is this one? There it is. Obviously, no, that's not it. So obviously Joe Rogan's very interested in the JFK assassination. Trump said he was going to make RFK Jr. if he's elected, like the head of disclosing the information about JFK's assassination. So Joe Rogan asks him about it, and here is what Trump said.
One of the things that I want to talk to you about is the JFK files. And one of the things that you said was that if they showed you what they showed me, this was your quote, you wouldn't want people to know it either.
So I opened them up partially. I was met from good people. I mean, good people that were well-meaning. Mike Pompeo was one of them. He's a good person.
No, he's not.
They called me. They said, "Sir, would rather have you not." And I did open them, but I was asked by some people not to open them. There's a Martin Luther King file too, by the way, that they'd like to see. I don't know if you know, but there is that. But JFK in particular. So they called me. A lot of good people called me. People that that you would find reasonable people, and they asked me not to do it. So I said, "Well, we'll close it for another time." But if I win, I'm going to open them up. I'm just going to open enough.
Why didn't you open it up the first time?
Because a lot of times,
what was the hesitation?
Addresses, people that are still living. There are people that are affected. And there could be some national security reason that that I don't have to necessarily know about, but some very good, talented people asked me not to do it. I opened it up, and then they said, "Would it be possible for us to do that a different day?"
How much of it did you read into?
I think it's going to be just fine to open it. Let me put it that way. I think it's fine. It's going to be time. It's a cleansing. It's really a cleansing. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it immediately, almost immediately upon entering office.
Well, the thing, when people look at it from the outside and you sort of imagine what could be a reason why they would not release those files, it would be there's people that were implicated in the assassination.
Yeah. Well, when there are living people, you only tend not to want to do it. When people are still living
people that formerly work for the government,
and living people that were somehow involved in it, and you tend not to do that. But it's time to open them. I can't tell you whether or not they're going to find anything of interest. And I did partially open. I think I've opened 50%, but I was asked not to do it. And I thought that was a reasonable ask, but now I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it very soon. There's a lot of interest in it.
A lot of hedging.
Why did it sound like that?
I think it was sped up.
So somebody asked you not to do it. So it's like, okay, great.
Mike Pompeo asked him not to do it. He said it there.
Yeah, I know.
Oh God, nothing's ever going to happen.
Like to be like, okay, yeah, now I'm going to keep this entire. I'm not. It didn't seem as though he even inquired as to why he should not open it if that were the case. And he just said, he's like, there's nothing in there that shouldn't be opened, and so they just asked me to do it another day. Like, why? Then if that's the case, then what's to make me believe that you're going to do it this time?
Yeah, he's hedging.
Yeah, I don't think anything's gonna ever happen.